Welcome back, everyone, to the Echoes of Ihsan Podcast. Today we're taking a deep dive into something that I think we've all experienced at some point, and that is those moments of forgetfulness in prayer.
Yes.
We're all human, and it happened.
It does happen, yeah.
So to help us navigate these moments, we're turning to Muwatta Imam Malik, Book 4, Forgetfulness in Prayer, which offers practical advice from the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, himself, on how to handle these situations.
Yeah, I think that's a great source to look at because it really gets into the nitty-gritty of this challenge.
Right. It doesn't just gloss over it. Like, it really acknowledges how tough it can be to stay focused during prayer.
Yeah, for sure.
It's like in that part where the Prophet Muhammad describes how Shaitan can actually kind of mess with our prayers, even to the point where we doubt how much we've prayed, which I find really striking. How do you understand that idea of Shaitan creating this kind of confusion?
Well, I think when we think about Shaitan, it's not just some external being who's always whispering in our ears.
Right.
It's also about those internal forces, right? Those doubts, distractions, all the mental chatter that pulls us away from that connection with the divine.
Oh, that's a great point.
Yeah, so it's not so much a literal, did you pray 3 or 4 rakas?
Right.
But more like that constant background noise that keeps us from really being present.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I know I definitely struggle with that. Sometimes when I'm trying to pray, my mind is already off planning my day, or thinking about things I need to do.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we all have those moments where it's like our to-do list just pops into our heads right in the middle of prayer.
Right, or that email I forgot to send. It's like a constant battle to stay focused. But what I find really helpful is that the Muwatta doesn't just leave us hanging with this problem. It actually gives us concrete steps to take when we have those moments of uncertainty.
Right.
The Prophet Muhammad advises performing 2 prostrations while sitting if we're unsure about where we are in prayer. What I find fascinating is how specific this advice is and how it emphasizes this physical act of prostration. Why do you think that is?
I think prostration, is such a powerful symbol in Islam. It's like this ultimate expression of humility and surrender.
Right.
You're acknowledging your place before God. But, it's interesting to think about it from a purely physical perspective, too. There are actually studies that show that prostration can have these calming effects on your nervous system.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like it can help regulate your breathing, reduce anxiety, even promote a sense of grounding.
So it's almost like a physical reset button.
Exactly. And it really highlights how much intentionality matters in prayer. Even when our minds wander, by making that conscious effort to prostrate, we're reaffirming our commitment. We're saying, okay, maybe I drifted off for a second, but I'm coming back now.
It's like a way of recentering ourselves. And it's so reassuring to know that these things happen. Speaking of which, there's this part in the Muwatta where the Prophet Muhammad himself mentions experiencing forgetfulness during prayer. He even suggested it was divinely ordained so that he could establish a practice, a sunnah, for his followers.
Right.
I think it's a powerful reminder that we're all human, even the Prophet, peace be upon him.
Absolutely. The idea that even he experienced those moments of distraction, I think, makes him even more relatable to us.
Yeah.
And the fact that his experience became a sunnah, a guidance for all Muslims, it really shows how universal this struggle is. It's not a sign of weak faith or anything like that, It's just part of being human.
It's like a permission slip to be human.
Yeah.
It's okay. These things happen. There's another story in the Muwatta that I found really insightful. It's about a man who went to Al-Qasim ibn Muhammad, a very respected scholar, for advice about intrusive thoughts during prayer. And Al-Qasim's response was, "Go on with your prayer, for it will not go away from you until you go away saying, 'I have not completed my prayer.'"
Wow.
I thought that was such a powerful statement.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Because it's not about ignoring the distractions, but about persevering in spite of them.
I think that's a really important point because it's acknowledging that these thoughts are going to come up. You can't just wish them away.
Right.
But you don't have to let them win either. It's that commitment to returning to the prayer, even when it's hard, that really matters.
And I think there's such a valuable life lesson there, too, beyond just prayer, whether it's in our spiritual practice or in our daily lives. We're going to face obstacles, distractions, things that try to throw us off course.
For sure.
And I think that resilience, that ability to keep going, even when it's tough, that's really what makes the difference.
And that resilience, I think, it comes from practice. Just like we train our bodies, we can train our minds. There are mindfulness techniques that can help
Yeah.
us improve our focus, like meditation, for example.
Mm.
There's actually a lot of research now showing how beneficial mindfulness meditation can be for improving focus and attention.
Oh, wow.
And these tools, they're not just useful for prayer, they can help us in all areas of our lives.
Yeah, I think that's a really important takeaway.
It is, yeah.
So to kind of bring it all together, what we've seen from looking at this book of Imam Malik is that forgetfulness in prayer, it's a common human experience.
Mhm.
It's something even the prophet himself dealt with. And the Muwatta offers us these practical remedies, like the 2 prostrations, to help us regain our focus. It also encourages us to keep going, even when those distractions feel really intense.
Yeah, I think that's a really beautiful message.
It is.
And I think this deep dive leaves us with an important question. How can we become more aware of these distractions and develop the mental fortitude to stay connected to our intentions, not just in prayer, but in our everyday lives as well? I encourage you to try out some of these practices that cultivate inner stillness and presence. You might be surprised by how much of a difference they can make. Simply noticing those distractions and gently bringing your mind back to the present moment, that can be incredibly powerful.
That's a great point to end on. Thanks for joining us today. I think this was a really insightful conversation.
Yeah, it was my pleasure.
And for our listeners, until next time, may your prayers be filled with peace and presence.